We now call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals for the City of Jasper, this 5th day of November. Secretary Duchess, would you please take roll?
Yes, Jerry Miller,
Present.
Julie Duchess, here. Blake Kruger,
Present.
Andy Smith,
Present.
Dennis Tedrow,
Present.
Renee Cabrick, here. Josh Gunsel.
Looks like we have a forum, right? Fantastic. Now I ask everyone to please stand for a voluntary pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, some board things to take care of first. The first thing we can do is approve the minutes from the previous meeting. I believe Becky mailed those out and you had a chance to review them. If anyone has any comments or adjustments or corrections, please take that now. If not, I will entertain a motion on minutes. Previous minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by Julie to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Second by Andy. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Great. Motion carries. We are now ready to begin the public hearing schedule for this evening. With respect to tonight's meeting and public hearings, we are hereby incorporating by reference into the records of tonight's meeting of public hearings, City of Jasper ordinance number 2016-30, entitled Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Jasper, Indiana, and its jurisdictional area, and any and all amendments thereto. The City of Jasper Comprehensive Plan. Pursuant to Article 5, Sections 2, 3, and 4 of the BZA Rules of Procedure, presentations by a petitioner shall be limited to 15 minutes. The call for remonstrators should be limited to 20 minutes, with individuals limited to no more than 5 minutes at the chairman's discretion. Such time limits may be increased by the majority vote of the board members present. With that, our first item tonight on the public hearings is Sultan's Run Golf Club LLC as owner and petitioner located at 1430 Mill Street and existing parking lot southwest of 14 Mill Street. Requesting 3 variances. The first variance is a variance from Chapter 4, Section 7, District R3, medium density residential permitted uses, subsection A, to allow multifamily dwelling. Second variance request is a variance from Chapter 4, Section 7, District R3, medium density residential standards, subsection C, to allow total living area per unit less than 900 square feet. And third variance is a variance from Chapter 7, Section 5, parking standards, to allow shared and off-site parking in a residential zoning district with the use of a shared parking agreement. With that, someone would like to speak on this matter.
Yes, good
Please
evening.
state your name, please.
Sure, Chris Treader, Sultan's Run, 1490 North Meridian Road, Jasper. Appreciate the opportunity tonight. Now we good? There we go. Okay, Chris Treader, Sultan's Run, 1490 North Meridian Road, Jasper. I'm co-owner and general manager. Appreciate the opportunity to present to you a project to rehabilitate and reuse a building that needed rehabilitation. Formerly known as the Mill House. Mill House formerly sat in excess of 125 customers at any given time. That was their rough capacity. We purchased it in 2023 with the specific intention of using it while we were expanding and remodeling our clubhouse out at Sultan's Run. So we use that as our catering kitchen. We had the intent at that time to either sell it or to turn it into apartments. And we tried to sell it discreetly. There are no buyers. The Alls had been trying to sell it for several years as well. So we are now presenting you the project to turn the main structure into 5 single-bedroom apartment buildings. And then on the parking lot, we will use part of that parking lot for shared parking between the main structure and the new structure. And the new structure will be a duplex building with 2 two-bedroom units. And I'll let Brad come up and talk about the technicalities of it. since he's more expert on that than I am. Great. Thank you. Any questions I can answer up front?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you. Brett.
Hello, board. Brad Eckerly, Brosmer Land Surveying and Engineering. Just to pick up where Chris had summarized, so there are multiple tracks. Adam, if you don't mind, help me out here. So just to not to confuse you is not the intent. You do that.
I didn't do that. It's just how it's loaded.
You go to the next. All right, so. Go to that GIS print. There we go. So that where you see lot 51, which is the southeast corner of 14th and Mill Street, that's the existing Mill Street. I'm sorry, the former Mill House structure building. So Mill Street runs north and south, dividing the cyan perimeter. That's actually two tax parcels, one being part of lot 1 and all of lot 2 in Joseph Egg subdivision. And that is the former parking lot that was utilized for Fiesta and Mill House there. So one variance on your itinerary is specific to allowing multifamily in the R3. That's specific to the magenta colored lot 51, basically utilizing that existing structure shell, and then with the multifamily. A second variance is also associated with that. What you see is lot 51. That is a development standards variance to allow total living area per unit less than 900 square feet. And then the lot 1 and 2 on the west side of Mill Street there, basically there's a variance for it being residential to allow off-site parking, because the UDO tells us that if we have in the situation lot 51, our parking is supposed to be on site. So the reason for the variance is it's off site specific to 51. And then with that, a shared parking agreement is within the ordinance presented to you per your approval for use. So there has been a draft of a shared parking agreement that's specific, and basically the summary is, as you see there, that the parking lot on the southern portion of the cyan, that would be the existing parking that would remain. And then north of that is a duplex structure. It's 2 units, 3 bedroom. Duplex within the R3 is a permitted use. So specific to the cyan tract, the approvals are merely to allow the off-site shared parking agreement on that tract that would benefit lot 51. So let's give you a little further detail what's proposed. So here are the tax parcels, all owned by Sultan's Run Golf Club LLC. Scroll down. So that's just to make sure that on the west side here, the intent would be basically through administrative subdivision process, the UDO, to combine those 2 lots on the west side. So that you saw text earlier, it said lot 1 in Millhouse Edition. The intent would be to combine those into one tax parcel and one platted lot. So this is in R3. Here's the subject area around that. Pay your Adobe bill.
So when we talk about the, let's go to the living area first, there's less than 900 square feet. What are we looking at in general?
Like the studio.
So here's a floor plan of the we'll zoom out a bit. So the square footage on the units, so the mill house structure has the main floor of that would consist of 4 single bedroom units, and then there's a upstairs component that would be the 5th unit. So 616 square feet, 643 had the max. It varies through there, each unit being less than 900, but it varies between 616 square feet and 720 square feet. So basically specific to the square footage, you know, it's all within the shell. There's no exterior change. It's all the internal. With that, and then with the use of the multifamily, on that track, basically the variances were, to provide the required parking amount. It's just that part of that was ensuring that, it was off-site per the agreement. So the parking layout specific on that does account for the duplex quantity and the multifamily structure, required parking on site, within, yeah. And off street, that's right. So I think a little confusing where I may have had lines on street, that was just for reference. Basically it was saying, hey, look, MUTCD, we're gonna be back off the intersection or crosswalk, so it was just for reference, kind of along the fringe of the lot. So this is the second floor, so the upstairs unit here, is 703 square feet. There. And then.
Access to the units within the building.
Yes, on the second floor. So,
Right, yeah.
yeah, so here's the,
Brad, can I address that real quick? So Andy, the entrance will be the same entrances that exist, except for the one that is on the back side of the building, the east side. We have to move that one to make sure we have ADA access, because we have to get the right slope back there. So we're gonna move that door over probably 10 feet, but the existing entrances to the building will be used. Yes.
so basically with the square footage on, you know, the units, basically with the shell and the structural components kind of drove to where that unit layout is, in regard, to serving that, but certainly with the use, it is a drastic in regard to the volume, you know, that was previously there in the building. Obviously a significant change for a restaurant in this area, you know, that was, there, so. The, just kind of the overall in regard to that shared parking, basically as far as the street improvements, it would be only for the millhouse structure, literally for utility services that would be needed and necessary, per that interior design. Those building improvements would be, in the process for state release, with Indiana in regard to those improvements as well. So, but basically, the side improvements on the west side would be specific to, the drive entrance, so that we have the proper width. What, I guess honestly, where we started, we had this tract of land that was utilized as a parking lot forever. When we apply our development standards of the ordinance, I can't get near what was utilized all the years. You know, it just basically applying, whether it was the perimeter or whether it was even the drive aisle or the parking stalls. So thus, that was the coordination in regard to, this layout down here. So if you go down one more, just a quick, here's the, duplex footprint. So that duplex is, 2 units, 3-bedroom, and it is 2-story. So, and, you know, part of what I did coordinate, I don't, if I'm wrong here, but I know like 2 months ago, there was an agenda item, in this vicinity, similar to multifamily and the parking. So, and I was here, present, waiting on an agenda item after, but, certainly in regard to that, you know, accounted for, some of the feedback for those users in the area, just in regard, that's why it was critical, just, you know, with the 5 units for the the 5 single-bedroom units in the multifamily, but then also with the duplex, just ensuring that we had the off-site parking that was present. And kind of part of that, a reaction was, the exhibit that I had on street. Basically, on street, we wouldn't perform or do any striping, anything like that. It was merely just for a reference, to kind of gauge like, hey, what is a parking stall parallel on the street, you know, in that. So, so I think with that, I don't know the formal, I think with, it is a variance approval, but just the way it's worded in UDO was the use of that, shared parking agreement. So I think I slid it in on the variance, but then it was specific for a use with the residential as well. I know it's a lot, but it's there, so I don't know, best way to just entertain questions.
Brad, I do want to clarify one thing on for the record here. I think Brad said 3-bedroom units in the duplex, they're 2-bedroom. We were talking 3 at one point. It's 2-bedroom. Okay, thank you.
No, that was a good clarification. I was gonna ask the same thing. Excuse me, Brad, if you went through it already, I apologize. But break down the parking required count.
Okay, so. Let me make sure I'm correct.
It's for up to 2 bedrooms and 1.5.
Okay, so for 1240 Mill Street, 5 units times 1.5 parking space per unit. And then for the duplex, that's where it's 2 parking spaces per unit. So in rounding up to 7.5 with the multi, that gets us to 8 shared parking.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, 8 total. parking.
yeah, actually, the duplex being 2 bedrooms and 1.5 per unit. So there's 3 required for the duplex.
It's 7.
For the 5, 7.5 rounds up to 8, so totally 11 total.
There was 12 spots that were still there on the shared parking spot, right? I counted 12.
That's correct.
Wow, I think that's the main separation. I've seen it with the driveway, but I don't think it does anymore. Brad, did you get rid of the driveway on that? There's no additional. When you flipped, you got rid of the additional or what was the 12 stall that was near the. There are just 12 within the parking.
Correct, on the part, yeah. So we did hold a TAC meeting on this project, and part of the feedback was just concern with, in coordination with the street department, just in regard to the proximity of an existing fence for the owner. Can you get that?
I'm trying to get the parking stalls back up, but
You might have close to it.
Pay your bill. So within the parking lot in the duplex, the existing residence there at the northwest corner, there's existing wood privacy fence. So it was basically just, we mirrored the angle parking that we had to provide more of a approach angle into that alley. So, but prior to that, we did have a parking stall nestled kind of behind you. So I did have a conversation with Mike Stallman, representing his mom, Ruth Stallman, who is located directly north of 14th Street. Basically, the existing parking lot entered off Mill Street at the southeast corner, and then it exited at the northwest corner. Directly north of that driveway is the drive and garage for Ruth's house. So it just voiced concern in regard to if there's a parked car, and on my exhibits, you can see I have a represented parking stall on street. It's not that we would necessarily improve that. We could leave that driveway cut as it is today. I mean, honestly, there'd be room where we could leave the drive cut and leave the asphalt and have an additional parking coming off 14th in there as well. But that was a conversation today, just kind of sharing the concern in regard to if that driveway was cut off, coming back off the driveway. So.
Yeah, how does the shared parking agreement work? If one of the 2 would be sold, if the lots were sold separately, or do they go with the purchase or?
Yeah, and I think that Brad or Chris can speak to this. I think that's why correct me if I'm wrong, both properties within are 2 different names case, because you recorded that. And so potentially one could be sold after the other
The agreement's set up to address the properties that are tied to that.
So not in perpetuity. That would be the agreement for property.
Made approval on the agreement.
I did get the agreement, Monday, so we got it for review purposes.
And basically the format of the shared parking follows there's a few guidelines within the UDO. So it does, but mainly in regard to obviously the use, but also maintenance of the parking lot is responsible.
Just one thing, talk or point out about regarding square footage, as the square footage is dictated by the substance census. That's where you get 900 square feet. When we look at R4, which is listed as the higher density residential, one bedroom requires 550 square feet. So those units would be sufficient and or more than for standard.
Great. So with that being said, I think I take a motion to open this up for public comment.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Dennis,
Second.
second by Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, anybody from the public would like to come speak about this? Please, state your name and address, please.
I'm Michael Stallman. I actually reside at 1442 Mill, but I'm here on behalf of my mother who lives at 216 East 14th Street, which if you look at the drawing there along 14th Street, there you go where the cursor is. That is my mother's residence. That is her driveway. My parents lived in that house. Mom still lives there 53 years. And in that time, there has always been a driveway right across the street. In the heyday of the Mill House, and formerly the Fiesta, parking was a huge concern. There was a single family home there. There was no parking lot. Street parking was it. We've experienced times when that street was parked full all the way through. That street in its entirety is good for about 3.5 cars stacked, no 4. The one time 4 did work, they took the mirror off my police car. So it is a tight space. Our concern, we have no concern with the project as it is, but our concern is if that driveway coming out of the parking lot is eliminated, there's no way for Mom to get out of her driveway. She has some mobility issues. She has to go out off of a handicapped ramp to the garage. She cannot go down the front steps to the street. That's not an option any longer. So without the ability to back out of her driveway, we're done. So that is a concern, and I understand you guys can't necessarily restrict parking, but I would like it on record if there's
Certain,
an opinion.
And Mr. Eck, like to take that in consideration of points.
Sure.
I'm not speaking for them, but I think that goes to your and your concerns.
It's a very good conversation with Brad earlier, but that is a concern of ours. Obviously, street parking is always a concern in our neighborhood. It's tight. There's not a lot of room anywhere.
We're hoping with the off-street parking on this one, right, the EDO, per the EDO standards, it
Should be helpful. Yes. And I don't think we're ever going to get to that point of as it used to be in the heyday, but we also don't want to enable a problem.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Take your time. State your name and address as well.
My name is Ed Young and I live at 1411 Mill Street. I've been living there since 1964. And my concern is 14th Street is very congested. And it's a two-way street. People park on both sides of the street. And even today, it's hard to get through. You have to almost be a gentleman to let them through. And my concern would be people park anywhere because, it's public access. And I even lose parking spaces in front of my house, but I got a driveway in the back and most of us do, or pull our cars in the back. So this is my main concern. Okay. I have no objections on people living there, okay?
Yep.
But, and also a stop sign on 14th and Jackson used to be there years ago. And it's a through street and they just sail through there. And I would like to see a stop sign put there one day, which would be really nice.
Slow the traffic down with it.
That's 14th Jackson, okay?
Fantastic. Yeah, we definitely know there's definitely lots of traffic going down through that, on all that area. So
Thank you for
take that
listening.
into consideration.
Thank you.
Anyone else? With that, I'll take a motion to close the public comment section.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Andy,
I'll second that.
second by Dennis, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. With that. Anyone else with any more additional questions or anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion. Oh, go, Brad, so, no, go ahead. If not, I would entertain a motion by variance to allow or deny the variance.
I'll make a motion to allow a multifamily dwelling in R3.
A motion by Andy to allow a multifamily dwelling in R3.
I'll second it.
Second by Jerry. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. First variance passes.
I'll make a motion to allow total living area per unit to be less than 900 square feet.
Motion by Andy to allow the living area for the variance on the agenda as presented to be less than 900 square feet. Motion by Andy,
I'll second that.
second by Dennis, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Great, motion carries. And third, I'll entertain a motion as well.
I'll make a motion to allow shared and offsite parking in a residential zoning district with use of shared parking agreement.
Yeah, I'll make a comment on that. Could you make that per Renee's review of the agreement or?
So I'll make a motion to allow shared and offsite parking in a residential zone district with the use of shared parking agreement, per Renee's approval.
Motion by Andy,
Second.
second by Jerry, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great, motion carries. Based on the information presented to this board of zoning appeals, we have determined that all the following three criteria to be true. The development standard variance requested will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. That the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And three, the strict application of the terms of the Jasper zoning and subdivision ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property for which the variance is sought. Thus, the Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance request. Thank you, board. Okay, we'll move on to the second. Go ahead.
Thank you, board, and thank you to Josh and his team for helping us along as well. Keep us in the guidelines.
Yes, we appreciate it. Second on the agenda, CHRK Reynolds LLC as owner and petitioner located at former address of 294 East 36th Street. Seeking variance, four variances. First variance is a variance from 160405 A, aka Chapter 4, Districts R1, low density residential permitted uses of the City of Jasper's Unified Development Ordinance to allow two family dwellings in an R1 zone. Second variance we'll look at is a variance from 160405 C, aka Chapter 4 Districts R1, low density residential district standards of the City of Jasper's UDO to allow ground floor living area less than 1,200 square feet. The third variance is a variance from 160405 C to allow minimum lot area of less than 15,000 square feet. And the fourth variance is a variance from 160417, aka Chapter 4 Districts, lot standards and use matrix of the City of Jasper's UDO to allow multiple primary structures on one lot and not orientated with the front facade to the street. With that, I would like to, here we go. I assume you're gonna speak on their behalf as well. Fantastic. Let's
Brad.
state your name and I think you know the routine, Brad.
Brad Eckerly, Brosman Land Surveying and Engineering, here on behalf of CHRK Reynolds, LLC, And also with this, Jasper Properties LLC. I do have Ruger Kirstein's, and Kohiki with us here this evening as well. So, this project is located at the northwest corner of, 36th Street and Mill Street. It is within the corporation limits of the city of Jasper. Thus then the jurisdictional as well. Go down.
I'm trying, it's not working.
So the zoning on this track that you see right there in white with the red out.
I'm gonna reload it. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to do.
Right, so, yeah. There we go. Basically, you see, the brighter yellow, is R1 zone. The, I'll call orange, is R2. They're at the southwest corner of 36 and Mill. So the reason that I referenced Jasper Properties, that you'll see here, the lines there, the L shape, the two to the east of that red outline were formerly owned by Mark Matthews. And recently, as of a few weeks ago here, the land was transferred to CHRK Rentals. The third tract you see on the west is actually a portion of Jasper Properties LLC. That tract that you see, even though the red cuts through it, fronts 36th Street currently today. So the variance specific to the lot area is specific only to that third tract. So the intent is that red outline would all become CHRK Rentals. Would be a platted lot as one with the improvement. So you don't want to go to the next one.
Right, just for clarification, who's the ownership of Jasper property?
Yes,
Ruger
so
represents both.
I was trying to think of his
entities.
title, yeah.
Yeah.
I have Representative Ruger Kirstein's here with me for Jasper Properties LLC. I don't know his title.
Oh.
Okay, so if you're able to find an aerial, that's great. So basically with the improvements here, on those tracks, and tied to the variances in the R1 zone, there are 6 building structures, of duplexes, 2-story, 3-bedroom. That's my confusion for the last one, sorry. These are 3-bedroom, 2-story. But within this one single tract with one owner, there would be a private drive that would access Mill Street that would then serve these 6 duplex buildings. And so I think following, I think it was Autumn Creek, there's a width of 28 feet on that private drive, basically coordinated. And then there would be parking for 5, there would be 5 parking spaces per unit that basically would then conform to the 3-bedroom parking requirement for 2.5 spaces per unit. So each building would be mandated for 5 parking. So basically the private drive would serve off of Mill Street and then come on and serve to these. The buildings proposed are spaced 25 feet. Basically, then meeting the setbacks of the side and rear for the single lot that would be north, west, and south. So here we go. Here's an aerial to give you a better idea. So to your south there is 36th Street, and then the north-south road there is Mill Street. So, but specific to our utilities then, that portion has not been hashed out, other than we know they are available on the site. It'd just be a matter of coordinating private-public extensions that would serve these structures that we have with the utilities. So, and have a concept, a reason for the location is driven by existing topography that's present, then also conformance to the city of Jasper drainage in regard to collecting the new impervious to meet the stormwater ordinance, in that regard. In the L shape, you know, I can't remember if when Mark purchased, I think it was like 2013. Can't remember if the house, I don't think the house was, I think maybe the house, was raised when Mill Street Extension possibly was constructed like early 2000s. So, but that's why you see the shape that you do in regard to the red. So, and there you can see specific to the Jasper Properties LLC variance, there the, call it you got a lot of red there, but, there is a building structure, but there again, that does extend north, and you see a red line that extends through the two west duplexes. Basically, as it is today, that's Jasper Properties LLC property. So there'd be a transfer to that. In that transfer, that lot of record, basically in an R1 zone, is less than 15,000 square feet. That wouldn't basically conform to the development standards for an R1 zone is important. And you can see like to the west, basically we match the size for the existing tract directly west of that. That is there, so. If you don't mind going down, I'll show you. So here's the footprint of these duplexes. That's just the same as you saw there. If you go down, maybe we'll get in.
Yeah, asking for a lot.
So I'll try and this comes up here. So specific to the floor area on the duplex, each duplex, the perimeter of each building is 1,252 square feet. The requirement within an R1 is 1,200 square feet for ground floor. But since there's two units within the one, basically the variance is presented as 626 square feet per unit, where the R1 zoning district would require 1,200. So as a structure, it conforms, but as the per unit, that's where it's less than and warrants the variance for that.
On the ground floor.
On the ground floor.
And total unit square footage is in excess of 12.
That's correct. Yeah. So here's
No,
maybe. No. So overall, the structure size is around 33 by 40 feet wide. And so thus the ground floor living area, that's, this pops up, I'll show you, but that's there. So specific to the lot area, I hit on that. And then also there is a variance specific to the multiple structures on one lot, being that this is one owned lot for the six. Basically, the ordinance doesn't allow us for multiple structures on a single lot. So the variance, and then within that multiple structures, the current verbiage within the UDO references that the front facade of the building faces the public street. And as we have a private street that's feeding it, thus that's why the front facade is facing the private. So basically our front facade is north-south, whereas if we're doing that, it would be to the east. So and basically within the R1, you know, kind of the development standards, I mean, there's kind of some varied tracks, you know, within that, but basically with the two family, not a permitted use in the R1, warranting the variance, but it would maintain the use of the residential within the area, and you know, specific to where, and I asked Ruger this morning, not necessarily maybe CHRK, but where there has been like infill development for a duplex in various areas on the town, you know, that use and value has been, you know, maintained through what we had seen through the infill in the last few years. So I think with that broad spectrum, so I guess just want to make sure it's understood that the reason for the Jasper properties only petitioner is all CHRK rentals, but Jasper Properties is specific just to that lot area, basically to chop off, in a sense, a portion to transfer that piece, match the track that's adjacent to the Jasper Properties to the west. But then the CHRK rentals are here for this, so. But I think with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Anyone from the public like to come up and speak on this?
Julie,
Oh, sorry. All right.
The lime green that cut out. That's beautiful.
That might be.
It's existing drive cuts that are present along the west side of it. So the yellow you see is existing curb. And then the reason you don't see it is it's a non-curb section north of that.
Yeah.
And then as we come around 36th Street, it's kind of similar that the curb dies down and then it's non-curb. That's great. Yeah, the purple would be like the center line. The deflection that you see is one would be for orientation perpendicular to Mill Street. Then also you see a little red dot. That's the existing overhead electric pole that is present on the west side of Mill Street.
Right, what is targeted payoffs? What does trash pickup look like?
It's
Christine's here on behalf of CHI Reynolds LLC. Trash collection went both ways. If it would be preferred, we could do a private trash collection there at the end of that T turnaround and maybe tuck it away back in there and hide a little bit. Traditionally on duplex communities like this, we have agreements with trash disposal companies. They do totes. But we're really indifferent on that. Either way would serve its purpose. I'd say we could leave that up to the preference of board and what they, if somebody had a strong preference on it one way or another, we could do it either way.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's addressed.
Yep. Yep. We're open-minded on that, so, yep.
All right, anyone from the public like to come speak on this, please? State your name and address.
My name is Nathan Block. Live at 3650 Mill Street, directly adjacent to said property. My relative concern, yes, right there. My relative concern being there is what appears to be quite a few variances asked for in a residential area. Almost like they're relatively stacked on them. And I've had minor communication with Mr. Ruger and Mr. Eckerly. Was relatively unaware of the situation until stakes were drove in the ground last Friday. I have the letter, but I'm not very privy as far as legal wording. So was relatively unaware until stakes were drove in the ground that what was actually going on. I do believe that that is 6 of those located in that area seems to be excessive, in my opinion, with the spacing and the lot area and being zoned single family residential. The 1,200 square foot, my house is probably the newest house in that area. That was 20 years ago. I built there in 2006. The ordinances at that point for a single family dwelling on that piece of property is 1,200 square feet on the main floor. Right. This is sizably less than that for quite a few parcels. Also the variance for, on one parcel, more than one individual dwelling. Those are my concerns. I have no, there was through listening, I didn't realize all of the variances that were being asked for. It sounds like quite a few for this small parcel of ground. And I don't know how the rest of the adjacent property owners feel about said property. And I'm not opposed to it. It just seems excessive, in my opinion,
Under advisement.
so. That's really all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening. My name is Greg Hensley and I live at 310 East 36th Street. And excuse me, I'm right at the corner of 36th and Mill. And the building you see here on the right there where that X is at, that's my building there. I'm opposed to this whole project. I think it's on principle alone. Excuse me. It's zoned for single family residents. And I think it should stay that way. Otherwise, why even have a zoning law at all if you're not gonna adhere to it? And just like my neighbor, Mr. Block said, or variance, you're not asking for just one. It's not like, oh, make one exception for me. They're wanting 4. That tells you right there that there's something just not quite right with that. Secondly, which you all probably aware of this, that the city is already has a project underway to upgrade Mill Street from 36th to 30th, and they're gonna start. I think they're planning on starting next spring, and that's to increase the heavy truck traffic on Mill Street from 400 north, and which at times it's rather heavy anyway, especially with the triaxles through there. And with that many apartments, with 12 apartments, at a minimum, you're gonna have 12 vehicles. At a maximum, there's 24. And if you sit in my living room some evening, you would be well aware of how busy that intersection right there. I would have never guessed this. I've lived there for 45 years. And I would have never guessed that intersection would have got as busy as it's gotten. And for the traffic in and out of there, especially, you can't tell it by looking at this diagram, but that just as you pass Mr. Blocks, that goes downhill. And in the mornings when my wife leaves for work, when she backs out, she has to be extremely careful because those people come flying up that road. And I'm so afraid she's going to get nailed in the rear end. So for those reasons, and when they put that road through there, with their infinite wisdom, they never dreamed of or never considered that, as I said, where the street there at Mr. Block's, it starts sloping back this way, starts sloping to the south. Well, they curved it, and they curved it around my property there, the corner of 36th and Mill. And that just tracks all the water and the runoff right around there. And now then along my property there on 36th Street, there's about a 2.5 foot ditch there now due to that water running that runoff. Well, how much more runoff are you going to have when you build those apartments there and pour that concrete for the drive and all? I can't see anything but more runoff. But those are my concerns, and I'm just opposed to it. I think it's just too much. If I was in the business that they're in, the first thing I would do is see to it that the property was zoned for multiple family dwellings before I decided to build there. And to me, it seems like they've done just the opposite. Doesn't matter what the regulations or the rules are. We're just going to build whatever, and then to come in and ask, say, well, can we just violate these rules? And that's what they're doing, is they're violating the rules. They're changing the rules to suit themselves because they want to build what they want to build. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to come up and speak? entertain a motion to close the public comment section.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Andy,
I'll second the motion.
second by Dennis, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Now, question.
Question for Brad, please. Could you just speak a little bit more about the mitigation of the runoff, the full plan that you guys have in place, or what you're.
Yeah,
what
could you
you're
zoom in a
doing?
little bit?
I can try.
Maybe not. So. Specific to my reference on the topography, so basically that drive. Would come to where we're able to collect that drainage runoff, and then it would contribute south to 36th Street. There's some storm infrastructure on the north side of 36th Street. And there would be a detention facility incorporated in some capacities. Do not have the details, have not had a TAC meeting specific to that at this time. But that specific to the profile of the street, it would be the collection and then contributing to where we're looking to sustain the drainage pattern.
But in front there too, there's a lot of open ground out there to the front, is that correct, to the south?
Correct, along Bell Street.
On the
correct.
rest of the, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we have a concept honestly where it'd be a dry detention basin within that strip, north south.
So that would help mitigate some of the problems that Craig was talking about with the ditch forming just from the runoff.
Yeah, I mean, yes, so the additional impervious that we would add to it, we're looking to ensure that that's not increased. The profile of the road, I would anticipate that there will be a piece as you drive and see that today, it raises, so it would contribute onto Mill Street. But as far as our rooftops in the street, we're looking to collect that. We're looking to get the drive. I don't have the specific details on the grades and a drainage plan in detail to specifically answer.
Just to rehash what I think you said and bring it down just a little bit. There are rules, new rules that you have to calculate all the impervious surface, parking, the roof, all that stuff. You have to calculate that. And you have to obtain that water on your property. Is that correct, what you're saying?
For this project, the ordinance would reference to where we're maintaining the existing runoff for a 2, 10, and 100-year rain event and ensuring that we release it no greater than, equal to or less than those rates with our improvement.
And as far as the living area less than 1,200 square feet. Just, that's, I'm not trying to understand, that was just on the 1 building before, it's on a single floor, that first floor. Footprint.
For each one of the 6 buildings.
Right, but the total square footage is more.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
Each townhome is going to be 1,250 square feet.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, right.
That is, if you respect, really long.
The other part was the orientation building, but that's the video consideration down the street. Well, that's something we'll just. Any more questions? With that, let's see where we can go here. There are 4 variances, of course, we have to knock them off one at a time here, or try to get them off one at a time here. Either for or against the variance. So with that, I will ask the board if anybody would like to make a motion for or against the variances and order, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, one at a time.
I'll make the motion to approve variance from 16.04.05A, chapter 4, districts R1 low density residential permitted uses, city of Jasper Unified Development Ordinance to allow a two-family dwelling in an R1 zone.
Motion made by Jerry to allow the first variance as presented. Second by Julie. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? First motion, first variance passes. Alright, I'll entertain.
I'll make the motion for the grant of variance from 16.0405C, chapter 4, districts R1 low density residential district standards for the city of Jasper Unified Development Ordinance to allow ground floor living area less than 1,200 square feet.
Motion by Jerry to allow the variance number 2 as presented. Motion, second by Julie. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
I'll make the motion to approve the variance from 16.04.05C to allow a minimum lot area of less than 15,000 square feet.
Motion by Jerry to allow the variance from 1605-0405C to allow minimum lot area of less than 15,000 square feet. For a second. Second by Andy. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion 3 carries.
Now I'll make a motion to approve variance from 16.4.17 AKA chapter 4 districts. Lot standards and use matrix of the city of Jasper Unified Development Ordinance to allow multiple primary structures on one lot and not oriented with the front facade of the street.
Motion by Jerry to allow variance number 4 as presented. I'll second. Second by Andy. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All right. With that, based on the information presented to the Board of Zoning Appeals, we have determined that all the following 3 criteria to be true. Development standard variance requested will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. That the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And 3, the strict application of the terms of the Jasper zoning and subdivision ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property for which the variance is sought. Thus, the Jasper Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variances requested.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Okay. Up, third on the docket, Jasper Properties LLC.
I'm gonna mirror what Chris had said earlier, and just want to say thank you all for your belief in us in the project. Appreciate it very much.
Thank
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Jasper, third on the docket, Jasper Properties LLC as owner petitioner located at 455 South Clay Street, seeking a variance, one variance from 1604-17, aka Chapter 4 districts, lot standards and use matrix for the city of Jasper's UDO to allow multiple primary structures in one lot in a I-1 zone light industrial.
Hey Brad, real quick, just for clarification, I think the agenda references Jasper Properties LLC as petitioner. But in fact, it's River Road Rentals LLC, correct?
Correct.
So.
Brad Eckerly, Grossman Land Surveying and Engineering, here on behalf of River Road Rentals, the owner of, also tied to Celebration Ice. This land was obtained in 2024. This site is the former E.H. Hamilton building. So we have I-1 zoning. You can see here to the north there, the buildings and circles, that's the City of Jasper Street Department. On the west side of Clay, that diagonal line on the south is the Indiana Railway Museum, their rail line, and property owner to the east as well. So can you go down? So here's the aerial depiction. You can see the stone and you see an existing structure that's there. This variance is to allow a second primary structure on this single tract. The frontage on this tract, you can see at the bottom of the screen, the yellow there along Clay. There is IRM actually owns the parcels to the east for the rail up to Clay Street that you see through there. So one more maybe. So part of this tract you can see in blue is floodplain. So the considerations, I don't know if I have a picture of E.H. Hamilton or the former E.H. Hamilton building, but it's a raised dock building. The proposed building is for warehouse building. There'll be freezer, storage, and a work area for their vehicles within that as well. But would be considered as a permitted use of a warehouse for this. So the ordinance doesn't allow two primary on a single lot. But there will be floodplain considerations. So the finished floor on this new building, you'll likely see 6 feet above the existing gravel that's there. And that's tied to a desire for a 54-inch loading dock, but then conforming to our flood standards, compaction requirements would be filled to do a low moderate. So just bring that up specific. Here's an aerial. We are out of floodway, just in floodplain. It's probably just gonna be my PDFs. So the aerial, basically with this variance, you can see here, this is to the north, that blue there on the south end is the existing building. The red that you see outlined, not the best there, but that is the boundary. So to the west, there's a street department in that. So based on the north end of that stone, looking to add a second structure, maintaining really the existing or for warehouse use, it would be one owner for the two buildings, but warrants a variance in the I-1 really zone to allow multiple primary structures on a lot. So at this time, we have not had tax specific to that on the improvements, but that would be the next step on a design development approval and getting state release and the local permits specific to the building would be the next steps. That entertain any questions?
I'm gonna ask them about sewer line at the old building. They consider capping that and are cutting it off and tying it to the new building and with the new sewer line.
So they don't have a choice per the wastewater department
Gotcha. Okay.
tied to this, so
Yeah.
the problem is no one can figure it out.
Right.
Right now, based on elevations in that, the existing plumbing would be intercepted on that building and routed with a grinder and pressure line to get up to then this here. Part of this to the new building, there would be an easement warranted. It would need to be secured with the city of Jasper. There is within the drive of the street department is the end of a sanitary main. Basically, it intercepts a grinder and force main from the former par 3 golf course clubhouse. So in a sense, it would be this. We'd be looking to gravity serve on our new building, but we would intercept by pressure due to elevations for the existing. So, great. If that's contingent or whatever, that's fine. I just know I'm not getting a permit through our wastewater department without.
Questions right before you open it up? Anyone from the public like to comment on this? See anyone come forward? I take a motion to close the public comment section.
I'll make a motion to close.
Motion by Andy,
I'll second that.
second by Dennis. All those in favor?
Aye.
That being said, I'll entertain motions. A motion.
I'll make the motion to approve variance from 16.04.17, chapter 4 districts. Lot standards and use matrix of the city of Jasper Unified Development Authority to allow multiple primary structures on one lot in an I-1 zone.
Motion by Jerry to allow the variance number 1 as presented.
I'll second that.
Second by Dennis. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Great, motion carried. Based on the information presented to this Board of Zoning Appeals, we have determined that all the following 3 criteria to be true. Development variance standard requested will not be injurious to the public health, moral, or safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. That the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And the strict application of the terms of the Jasper zoning and subdivision ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property for which the variance is sought. Thus, the Jasper Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance request.
Thank you, Board. Thank you.
Yep, Sam.
Okay, up next on the docket, James McCarthy is owner and petitioner located at 2618 Brosmer Street He is requesting two variances. The first variances is a variance from 160710 A2, AKA Chapter 7 Development Standards, Accessory Uses and Structures, allowance the city of Jasper's UDO to allow an accessory structure to be owned and operated on a lot without a primary structure. And the second variance he is requesting is from 160407C, AKA Chapter 4 Districts, medium density residential R3 district standards of the city of Jasper's UDO to allow accessory structure to not meet the required minimum 7.5 feet setback. I assume you are Mr. McCarthy. Go ahead, state your name and address for the record for us, please.
James McCarthy, 2618 Broadsmore Street.
Great.
That would be on lot 114.
Talk to us about your project.
I'd like to have a garage there.
Okay.
I understand you'd like me to tie those two vacant lots together, so they would be sold together in the future with some sort of covenant on it that somebody has to build a house if they buy them. I'm fine with that. We have a question of building materials. I've looked at I'd prefer metal because it's fireproof. If you guys say I have to go vinyl, we'll do that. It's gonna have wainscoting on the bottom, but you only have to look to California to see the wisdom in shiny white metal as opposed to plastic. And I don't think it'll be detrimental to the neighborhood. It's not gonna add a ton of runoff. It's gonna be reasonably attractive.
You have a picture of what you're looking at? Sketch or?
I've had some different sketches. I have turned one in with an earlier permit. It's a bigger building. I do not have a sketch on this one. It's basically gonna be a whole building. I have something on my phone where I've taken pictures of other people.
That's all right. I just wanted to see if we could see what was. That's 7.5 feet. Is that gonna be because it's closer to the lot of the house that will look down? Is that right?
It's
It's the, if you look, it's the side setbacks of 113, close to what we was asking for 5 instead of 7.
Okay. Over there. And the house is on 114?
yes.
Something similar to that.
Straight bright white,
Okay.
dark roof.
Yep.
Two car doors, one walk-in. I prefer metal.
Okay, that's not.
This is not gonna build, this is a picture of somebody's on minimum copy their idea. But it's a dark roof, close to the cover of the shingles on my house. And bright white metal matching the white on my back porch where I've added onto the house. So that's what I'm asking for.
You have questions from the board? Mr. McCarty, are you here? Correct.
Looking to do 30 by 36.
30 or 36.
There might be some variation on that. I'm gonna count on the Rushmore guys to come out, set the corner stakes because we have some critical things. We do have a city elected line that
Right.
should have been down the property line. It's 4 foot in. So I want to shy away from that. I'm gonna ask if I could shift a little to the south if we combine the lots. If that line in the middle becomes a moot point, we can shift a foot or two. So trying to get 30 by 36 without asking for any other variances. If my surveyor shrinks me a foot, so be it.
This is something that if we approve the variances, he's going to be working coordination with you guys to make sure it all still falls under.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, for clarification, the compatibility wasn't an issue because it would not allow a lot of the primary. So that's why you're not seeing from us a variance specific to that. So I think our notes, we said, certainly interested that you had to consider that.
That's right. With that, let me see if anybody from the public wants to make a comment first. Anybody from the public want to comment on this?
Neighbors, I've sent out letters. Okay, I haven't offended anybody yet.
That's good. Let me, let me ask for a motion to close the public comment section. then.
I'll make a motion to close the public comment section.
Motion by Dennis to close the public comment section.
I'll second.
Second by Andy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That being said, let's entertain some motions here.
So we'll approve this with the, I guess, the agreement that you mentioned.
The commitment to,
Yes.
not sell the lot without.
Yeah, I think that must be in there somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that can be accomplished
Straight that,
tomorrow by combining them.
Yeah.
And then,
Cause yeah.
there is an issue, I need to give a neighbor a 4 foot easement, I got part of her driveway and garage, one of our lots. So, we need to square that up with her before I get old and kick the bucket. I won't leave it on somebody else's table.
But yeah, we need to put that commitment on the overall thing.
Yeah, we'll work with, Mr. McCarthy and figure out the best way to protect that.
With the one caveat, which is a little different than I think you've seen us do a commitment. Whether it's here or just known that that's what we're gonna do, is that there has to be some kind of trigger that if it's sold, that they build a primary structure on it within a certain amount of time, because ultimately what we're trying to protect is an outside interest of having a utility shed or a storage shed in the middle of the residential zone.
So.
What'd you call it? I'll make a motion to approve. To allow an accessory structure to be owned and operated on a lot without a primary structure. With a commitment approved by the recorded.
With a recorded commitment that the house sits, that if those lots are sold, that there's a primary structure built within 18 months. Or- Yeah, I think that's fair. 18 months, is that fair? If it's sold, they have 18
And
months.
those,
to
and
build
those
that
two
structure.
lots stay together.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. All right, let's try to see if I can rehash that one then. So the motion was made to allow an accessory structure to be owned and operated on a lot without a primary structure. But it requires a letter of commitment which states that the two lots without the primary shall not be sold independently and shall only be sold from the lot that the house sits on conditional that the primary structure shall be built on that site within 18 months of transfer, and the commitment needs to be approved by Renee and Josh. How about that? All right, yeah. Is that fair?
Yep, I'll second that.
Second by Dennis, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Nay, there we go. Good. No nays, all right, then I will take a motion for the second variance.
I'll make a motion to allow accessory structure not to meet the required minimum set 7.5 feet setback.
Motion by Andy to allow an accessory structure to not meet the required minimum 7.5 feet setback. Josh, do we need to say the 5 feet or not, because it's basically up by his house, but he, says he's got not closer than the 5 feet as. To allow a required minimum feet setback to, but not any closer than 5 feet as presented. How about that?
That would be the lot 114,
One, yeah,
between 113 and 112, can we go into that line? There's a buried electric cable. Right between 113 and 114, and it's about 4 foot off of, where they thought they buried it.
Yeah,
So-
as long as you're not building into easements or you're protecting all that property line. That's your decision.
113 and 112 become one lot now. Okay, and that will preserve a piece of grass in the neighborhood for the next 30 or 40 years, I think. I think so. All right,
Yeah, we don't need to amend these. Variance.
As part of the commitment previously, we'll have such a thing.
Okay, and I'll second the motion.
second by Dennis, all those in favor? All those opposed? Great, motion carries.
all right, and so do I see tomorrow for commitment?
Based on the information presented to this board. Oh. Go ahead. Oh.
I don't know if I'll be ready tomorrow.
No, go ahead. Tomorrow, yeah. Based on the information presented to the Board of Zoning Appeals, we have determined that all the three following criteria to be true. The development standards variance requested will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. That the use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And the strict application of terms of the Jasper zoning and subdivision ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property for which a variance is sought. Thus, the Jasper Board of Zoning Appeals grant your variances as requested.
Okay,
Thank you.
I can go ahead and put a deposit with my builder then Friday. Thank you.
Thank you all for your patience.
Up, the fifth item on tonight's docket is Molly R. Johnson as owner petitioner located at 1029B Second Avenue. She's requesting a variance from 160406A, aka Chapter 4 District, Single Family Residence R2, permitted uses of the city's UDO to allow a veterinary office in an R2 zone. With that, I assume you're Miss Johnson, and but go ahead and state your name and address, please.
So my name is Dr. Molly Johnson. My address is 1029B Second Avenue. So I live on that property as well. And I am petitioning for a variance to run a veterinary rehab clinic out of the pre-existing building that's on that property. So kind of the wide aerial there. So it's all in black and white, but the bright circle there, can you put that one?
Sure.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So you can kind of see that bright square right there. So that's where that building runs. Our primary facility is actually about a mile east. So it's at the property on the very east side of that picture. So that's kind of one of the reasons that we want to run it out of that facility, is close proximity to the primary facility. So that's just an aerial view of how the property looks currently. And then the next picture is
Not there.
not there. Cool. So that is just an image of the property and then lines drawn of where we would like to put a chain link fenced in area on the east side of the building to do outdoor examinations and examining pets as they're moving on natural terrain. And then
One of those pictures, the house.
Huh? So the house is actually on a separate plot. There's I think 4 or 5 plots of land around that area. So the house is right there with the yellow circle. The building just north
Yes.
of it is the pre-existing garage.
They're both here.
Correct. Yes. Yes. So that building, so the garage doors are on the west side of that building. The fence would be placed on the east side of that building. On the west side of that building, there's also a window that we plan to hopefully expand into a doorway to act as the entrance to the building. There is a septic hookup in the building as well that we are going to explore updating so that we can provide restroom facilities within the building, as well as putting up some internal walls just to block off an exam room, an office, and block off the rehabilitation exercise room as well. Hours of operation. So if we're not planning on this being an everyday type practice in this facility, we're going to plan on starting small. Our hours will be Tuesday afternoons from 1 to 5, Wednesday from 8 to 5, and then Friday mornings from 8 until noon. We will be doing everything by appointment only. And we're planning on just seeing 2 patients at a time with our fairly limited staff. So currently we're looking at having 1 receptionist, myself as the doctor, and I will be a certified canine rehabilitation therapist. And then we also have a veterinary technician who's a certified canine rehabilitation veterinary nurse as well.
So when you say you're gonna see 2 at a time, how many is that, like, is that?
So
15 minutes?
appointments will last for an hour.
An hour.
Yes. And our plan is to stagger them. So we have an appointment starting 10 minutes prior to the ending of the last one. to help prevent traffic congestion on that lane as well.
Do you feel like you have enough parking for that type of?
So yes, currently I can fit 5 to 6 cars in that area. And then we've also discussed removing the little patch of grass on the west side of that building to add some more parking as well.
So what you're proposing, you're gonna be diagnostic work and therapeutic work, it's gonna be boarding or.
Correct. It won't be boarding. None of the patients will be staying overnight. If it is a patient that needs long-term care, we'll probably refer them to our primary facility for hospitalization. Nobody's staying overnight. It'll just be diagnostic and therapeutic treatment at this facility, yes.
And it would be referred from the other.
So referral from that veterinarian as well as other area local veterinarians, and then also we'll take calls from concerned owners that if their pet has had issues or, you know, they want to do conditioning or anything like that, that's something that we will also offer as well.
Just curious as to what rehabilitation, like if they have a meniscus tear.
So, yeah, we can do rehabilitation for orthopedic cases. So torn ACLs, that's the people term, but torn cruciate ligaments in dogs, meniscal tears, recovery from fracture repairs, as well as neurologic cases. So any of the dogs that have spinal issues and paralysis, all the way to geriatric medicine, so maintaining strong bones and muscles in our older patients, and even sports medicine.
Well, just be dogs.
For now, we're looking at dogs. There is the potential to branch out, but dogs to cats at this facility most likely.
Cows, horses, or.
Not planning on doing that at this facility.
So is it Vonderheide Road, that's a private road, correct?
Correct.
Is there some type of maintenance agreement since it's a private road?
So
Curious on how that works.
that lane is owned by me. It's one of my properties as well. So it'll be up to me to maintain that lane. And the neighbor next door has actually helped with that previously. And we just resealed it this past October. And the plan is to continue to maintain it as needed, even with the increased traffic.
Hey, Allison,
So there's another house just south of that also has a drive that enters on that lane as well.
That's great.
That one, yes.
Let me go ahead and see, anyone from the public would like to come up, comment on this, that'd be great. Once again, please state your name and address, I think you've heard that before, but you can sit back there, name and address, so we know where you're coming from, who you are, for the record.
Good evening. My name is Maggie Marystone. My husband and I own a house at 1065 2nd Avenue. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here tonight. I do want to first clarify that while we don't currently live in our house on 2nd Avenue, my husband and I are keeping it because we stand to lose the home we do live in to the Mid-States Corridor project, and we want to make sure that we have somewhere to live if that happens. I want to express my opposition to the request for a zoning variance to allow a veterinary office in this residential area. I'm not here out of hostility or personal conflict. I've never met the applicant, and I'm a big fan of entrepreneurship. I simply believe that business and commercial activities don't belong in any of our residential areas. Our little area of 2nd Avenue is special because of its peaceful rural character. The open fields and quiet surroundings are what make it such a wonderful place, and it's why my husband bought that place back in 2006 or 2007. The zoning rules that protect that character exist for a reason. Allowing a commercial use, even a small one, would start to change the nature of the area and set a precedent for others to do the same. A veterinary office would also likely bring more vehicle traffic, parking, and just activity than what's typical for our section of that neighborhood. Those changes may seem small individually, but over time they can have a real impact on the quiet and the beauty of that place. I respect my neighbor's intentions and the service she provides, but I believe the right place for that kind of business is in a commercial or mixed-use zone, not in a residential one. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the board to deny the variance and uphold the intent of our residential zoning. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you, Maggie.
I'm sorry, what? I can't hear what he's saying.
My name is Jimmy Tennant, 1033 Second Avenue. I'm sorry that I have some speech problems. I had 3 strokes this past year. I'm opposed to this plan because one of where I live, I share my neighbor's drive, which exits onto that roadway. There is also another 4th person who uses that road. They are located on the opposite side. His name, Brian. I think it's Wolf. I'm not. I can't remember, but it's right at the end of the street, and at that lane is not big enough for 2 vehicles, and I would like to approach you all to see what I'm talking about.
You're saying it's a single lane road?
Yes.
Single
It's,
car?
well, it's more than a single car, but in essence, it's a single car. Yes, it is a small, it is not a 2-lane road. And as you can see, both of those cars are at the very edge of the road. You can't get back there. Yeah, it's more than tight.
So that's why they take care of the lane donation.
Yes, say, well, they take care of the lane, as I understand that that lane was, it was originally owned by the city. And they had proposed that the former owner of that.
Come back to the,
Okay,
So we could hear you then.
sure, I'm sorry. It was proposed that the former owner of that property maintain the lane because there were only 2 houses proper on that road. But there are 4 driveways on that road. As Molly stated, and I don't have anything against Molly. I've known Molly for a number of years. I've dealt with her at the veterinary clinic a number of times.
Right.
But I don't think that is the right place for this clinic. As she stated, oh, this is going to just be part-time at first. But she made it a point, oh, we have plenty of parking. We have parking for 6 vehicles at a time. But you're gonna stake them 2 at a time. So why do you need 6 parking for 6? Because you plan on increasing it. That's just simple logic, folks.
I think some of it too could be the 3 people who work there
Yes.
as well,
They get that.
but I understand what you're saying.
But
Yeah.
it makes sense that you're going to increase the business. You know, everybody wants to grow their business. If you don't, you're you know, you're in business for the wrong reason. So that's all I have to say, but I'm not in favor of it. And what Maggie had said before me, it is not a good thing for our little neighborhood.
Certainly
So-
different than a city street. Right?
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that. Anyone else like to come speak? With that, I'll take a motion to close the public comment portion of this.
I'll make the motion to close the public comment.
Motion by Andy,
Second.
second by Jerry, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, okay. My concern is, I know it's private lane, she owns it. They're, you know, they're staggered, you're gonna have 2 people at a time, with more coming in and out, right, potential? I'm just thinking back from a previous case, similar type of operations on 47th Street with basically a private lane, where the concern was people were passing each other, meeting each other and pulling into, in this case, hitting their yard.
So we do have, if there is some traffic congestion, there is about 5 to 6 feet between a fence that the Ruxers own and that lane that's part of an easement that we could potentially put gravel there to create a pull off if we've got traffic that's meeting.
Right.
Because I mean, that was an initial concern of ours as well when we were considering this as a possibility. For the starting place of this business. Ideally, yes, we do want this business to grow.
Right.
This was never gonna be a permanent location for us. We would love to grow out of this location. It was just not financially feasible to purchase an additional plot of land and build a building. We had already looked into that and it just wasn't financially feasible at this time.
Right. Just let me look at numbers here, because I'm a numbers guy.
Sure.
So on that Tuesday, 1 to 5, if we do 2 an hour, there's 8 cars going in, 8 cars coming out at one point in time, right? Wednesday.
Spread
16
throughout the 4 hours, yes.
Yes, and the same thing on Wednesday 16, since it's 8 hours, or actually being 8 because it's 9 hours, 8 to 5, right?
We would have a lunch break
Okay.
in there for
So
charging.
16,
Yes.
8, 16 days. Trying to put numbers to this. And you talked about 3 employees or so.
So you're open 16 hours a week, is that? I understand.
Yes,
But it would be a total of 32 patients. Yeah.
Correct.
Kind of animals you currently have at your location,
Right now, I currently have dogs and cats.
and how many is that?
I have 3 dogs and then I have 2 indoor cats and a couple of barn cats.
Just for your knowledge, the city of Jasper has a nuisance ordinance for perfect animals per patient.
I am aware, I just moved into that facility. I got 2 geriatric pets that I was not interested in rehoming. So I am waiting for their lifespan to end and I'm not planning on extending past that.
You bring up the traffic situation. Beyond that, I reiterate the first comments that we go from Radiant Road all the way to the other bait shop. I can only think of one business. I don't know when Mr. Schneider put his sheet metal shop in, I'd say it was sometime in the 50s. There's only one business in that. And introduce a new business in here, I got a bad taste of that.
This isn't, it'd be different if it was a, maybe it's different, it's a home occupation. I sort of need your direction too. More, any more comments, or anyone needs some motions, or?
Yeah, I don't mind the initial startup hours. I don't think they're big deals to me. It's just if it were to grow, start getting 40, 50 hours a week, start having more people,
Yeah.
that's that would be my concern. I understand the startup cost and group and that's all for it, if you want to grow out of it, so. Right, yeah, so I like the hours as you presented them, I guess is what I'm saying, I would be on board.
And I do work a full-time job as a general practice
Right.
veterinarian, and I'm not planning on changing those hours a whole lot.
For me, I do have a problem with the amount of existing businesses in the area. Like Jerry said, not many. Any that have been there have been grandfathered in long before any kind of plan was set in place. I think it does set a bit of a precedent, because if we start to allow one, it's very easy for another person to find a location that is not being used that could be renovated into a small part-time gig or something like that. As well as the traffic concerns too. A pull-off lane is a good idea, but in reality, if you have customers leaving and I'm always the kind of person that wants to show up early for a meeting. And so if I show up 10 minutes early, I'm gonna be running into any of your customers that are leaving. I think you said it was a 10-minute overlap.
So our appointments will start 10 minutes prior to the end of an appointment. So
Okay,
people coming in will be 10 minutes before the people coming out,
gotcha.
ideally.
Yeah. To me, I see a bit of a problem where people are meeting towards the beginning of the turnoff, where they're turning into the drive and coming face to face with people. The easiest way to get out of the way is to pull into somebody else's property and start putting, could be damage to the yard, could be temporary, but it is a nuisance to those homeowners.
Sure.
The biggest thing for me is that it is by far and large residential, and it's starting to add one into there could start to be a domino effect for the area. That's my main concern with it. Like Andy, I understand the need to get a business model up and running and start proving that it's viable and then growing from there. But expansion on hours, once it starts to get a little bit bigger, I think it could start to be a problem for everybody. Those are my main concerns with it.
I could make a motion to deny the single family veterinary office in an R2 zone. It's more of a big thing. And the lane structure and so I could make a motion to deny the
So I guess my question, are you making the motion?
Yes, I make a motion to deny the way it's set up here as a single family R2. And, to deny a veterinary office to be put in a single family R2.
So we have a motion. Motion by Ms. Duchess to deny the veterinary office in R2 zone. As presented.
Anything else, but that's,
Yeah.
that's just my
That
opinion.
that is, so a motion to deny. Do I have any seconds for that?
I'll second that.
Second by Jerry. All those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
All those against? Motion carried that, unfortunately, that the variance has been denied.
Thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Move on to see if Josh, they have anything before we try to close this out.
I just want to let the board know that on Wednesday, December 2nd to December 3rd, at the planning commission meeting, which is also starting immediately following this meeting, the comprehensive plan community vision presentation will be had up at 7 o'clock here in this room. Again, that's during the planning commission meeting, and then the following Saturday, December 6th, the comprehensive plan will have a public open house titled A Future Summit, in which some presentations and planning will occur from 8 to 12 p.m. at the park. So I have.
Great. All right, with that, I'm seeking a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Andy to adjourn,
I'll say.
and second by Dennis. All those in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. It's just a